We learn from history that we do not learn from history. Nowhere is this adage truer than in the bloodied history of the Indian subcontinent. On Wednesday night, a mob gathered outside Dhanmondi 32, the most famous address in Dhaka. Now, Dhanmondi 32 is the house of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. It is the house where Mujib, as he is popularly known, lived and fell to assassins' bullets. Now, this mob that gathered on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. carried with it hammers and shovels, and they immediately went ahead. They went inside the house and they started the process of bringing the house down. When they were done, they set the house on fire, and soon after, bulldozers came and crushed whatever remained of the house. Now, these are dramatic and very saddening visuals of Dhanmondi 32 being brought down, and there were, of course, immediate reactions from across the world. It is justifiably, the whole action was justifiably blamed on the Muhammad Yunus administration for its inability to stop the mob when they went inside the house to sort of bring it down. There were also people in uniform, army and paramilitary personnel who were present in the mob, and they stood silent, did nothing to stop the mob. But is it really only Muhammad Yunus's fault for what happened to Dhanmondi 32? I would argue that it is not. In fact, I would blame the shaky foundations, shaky secular foundations of Bangladesh established by Sheikh Mujib himself for what happened on Wednesday night. Let me explain. Bangladesh was birthed literally, with India's help, of course, in 1971 after almost 9 months of a bloody war with West Pakistan Army. Bangladesh itself says that almost 3 lakh East Pakistani Bengalis were killed when they rose to fight for language and culture. So what happened was the East Pakistani Bengalis rejected Urdu for Bangla. They also said no to West Pakistani hegemony. They wanted a country based on common culture and common language, which is Bangla. And it was a wonderful experiment where a people, Hindus and Muslims alike, could come together to rise over religiosity and try to stitch together a social alliance and try to imagine a country where all countrymen, irrespective of their religious faith, could become citizens based on the love of a language and the love of a common culture. Now, like I said, it was a secular experiment. It was a wonderful experiment. But soon after, people who opposed the very idea of Bangladesh, East Pakistanis themselves, some of the East Pakistanis who sided with the West Pakistan Army when they went into literally a rampage to rape, maim, and kill East Pakistanis, those people, mostly they're known as Razakars. Many of them were pardoned by Sheikh Mujib. Now, a lot of people, including Abhijit Dasgupta, who was formerly a Director General of Doordarshan Kendra Kolkata, and covered the 1971 War of Independence and is also a Bangladesh expert, said that the clemency that Sheikh Mujib gave to those who opposed the very idea of Bangladesh and let them stay on in Bangladesh was part of the problem, the manifestation of which we saw on Wednesday night. And it is not just the clemency that Sheikh Mujib gave to people who oppose the idea of Bangladesh. It's also Mujib's turn towards radicalism, in a sense, that was part of the problem. Bangladesh expert Mubashir Hassan wrote that Mujib banned gambling. This is after 1971, after he came to power. Mujib banned gambling and selling of alcohol in Bangladesh, closed cinema halls on the Prophet's birthday. And this is what Hassan writes. His government established an organization that was the forerunner of the Islamic Foundation, a state-funded Islamic missionary organization, and reformed the Madrasa Education Board. In 1974, Bangladesh poet Daud Haider was forced out of the country for offending religious sentiments through one of his poems, Hassan wrote. Now, this siding with the radicals, even though he professed secularism, has been part of the problem in independent Bangladesh. Bangladesh's flirtations with secularisms are just that, flirtations. Throughout Bangladesh's independent political history, time and again, irrespective of the party in power or the political dispensation in power, Bangladesh has at best flirted with the idea of secularism. And radicals, from time to time, they have been given a free rein, but been they have always allowed to remain in Bangladesh. Now, so many years later, when Mujib's daughter, the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, was in power, she did wage a war against fundamentalists. I had the opportunity to interview the former Home Minister of Bangladesh, Asaduzzaman Khan, and Khan told me that they would not, that the government, Sheikh Hasina's government, would not spare the radicals, would not spare the fundamentalists, who want to bring in terror into the country. But having said that, I would always ask him that so many years after the formation of Bangladesh, why are such elements still there in the country? We know that the Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh, a politico-religious organization, is extremely popular in Bangladesh. In fact, many Bangladesh watchers would tell you that it is the Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh which is today running the country. Now, Sheikh Hasina administration had banned Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh, but they had, even during her reign, remained an extremely powerful, extremely influential organization inside Bangladesh. Why was that allowed to happen? So Dhanmondi 32, as saddening as it is to watch those visuals of Sheikh Mujib's house being brought down, the reasons for that cannot simply be blamed on the Muhammad Yunus administration, which of course is guilty, but we have to turn the pages of history and go back to the beginning of Bangladesh to see how the inability to establish secularism is the genesis of the current crisis.